And this is Angelina.
And welcome to another episode of Talk 40 to Me.
Welcome back and
Welcome
Happy
back.
New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
I love your dance. Your dance is cute. Brandy's jigging over here. We are in the new year and we're focusing on self-care and wellness and health. And I am thrilled today. Look at me. I found another word other than excited. I'm thrilled today.
Congratulations.
I know, right? To have an old friend on. This is, I don't know. I think we were probably in our 20s when we met. So that would be, yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't want to age us a little bit, but it's a while for me.
Well,
So
you are, because your podcast is called Talk 40 to Me. So
true. I'm just gonna own it. Let's just own it. So today on the show, we have Barbara Blank. She is a fitness aficionado, a wellness and nutrition guru, and she is the owner and founder of Clean Creations, which I personally love. This is a delivery and grab and go service with chef prepared clean food, and they're located currently in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Their mission is to make clean eating simple and convenient. And Barb is also a busy mom of two. She shares lifestyle, beauty, and daily life on her personal Instagram. And she's somebody you want to know and follow for sure. So, Barbara Blank, welcome to Talk 40 to me.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
yes, we're so excited to have this chat today.
I know. So we're we thought of you, when we were planning out our content for January, because we just feel like it's just so relevant. And this is just, I feel like you live, eat, sleep, breathe this life. So can you tell people a little bit more about you?
Yes, absolutely. So the majority of my adult life has been devoted to um, being an entrepreneur, which there's a lot that goes into that sentence, of course. I started Clean Creations when I was 23. Dean and I kind of started it together. Yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, and that was like at the beginning of our relationship. So our whole entire relationship and life has kind of been built, in the background of running this business. So I got into cooking because I was a fitness competitor. I'm a former IFBB bikini pro competitor. So, over that span of time of competing and dieting and always preparing food, I was also personal training and I was teaching group fitness, and my clients were just not seeing results because they weren't eating healthy. And then they would always see me with prepared food, for a show. And they're like, God, I wish somebody would just cook food for me. And, then I would have it. So I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I'll start doing it. And at that time, there was really no other meal delivery services. That wasn't really a thing. Like meal prep wasn't a thing
Right.
yet. And so we started Clean Creations, and it just slowly started to grow. And it's been quite the journey, I will say. It's been interesting to say the least, but we've in that time, Dean and I got married and built a house and started having kids, and then had another kid. And yeah, I mean, that's the majority of it. But I'm so devoted to really helping people feel their best and be at their best. I think a lot of people don't even realize how good they can actually feel. And I really, my mission is to help change people's lives with clean eating. Every single day, I talk to people who come in, they're pre-diabetic, they're dealing with inflammation. It's so many things that can be prevented through medicine, through food, because food is medicine. It's not people, food is like medicine. No, food is medicine. Um, and I just firmly believe in that, and I'm so passionate about it. So, even through all the trials and tribulations of running a business, and there are many, the thing that keeps me going at the end of the day is just my mission to really help change people's lives. And it excites me, and it's fun and scary and all the things. So yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty much it.
23 to start a business. That is impressive.
I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I still really don't. I'm still navigating my way through it. And especially starting a business from scratch. I mean, if you open up a franchise, somebody's going to hand you over the Bible of how to
Mhm.
run it, how to work it. I mean, we just had to wing it every step of the way because it was a very new business. It's still a newish kind of concept, the meal delivery and the grab and go and all that prepared meals. And so there was definitely no blueprint for what we have done, and it's taken a tremendous amount of work and dedication to build it. But yeah, I mean, it's my whole life has kind of been revolving around that.
I love hearing about your story. And, sidebar, one of my favorite podcasts, like business podcasts, is called How I Built This. And it talks about the trials and tribulations of these very successful businesses and the struggle that these entrepreneurs have gone through, and that the majority of them had no idea what they were doing at the beginning. And I feel like so many of us are taught, at least for me, I'm like, I can't get to this point and start my own business until I know all these different things. And I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs and businesses, there's sort of a blessing and a curse with not knowing, because you're not overthinking it and you're able to adapt and adjust accordingly. And so it's always so fascinating on how you have been able to build this successful company and through the passion that you have. Can you share a little bit more about how you've built your business and like the journey that you've taken over the years? So you started when you were in your 20s, and how has it grown? And did you have a vision for it, or did it just kind of evolve on its own?
It definitely evolved on its own. I think initially I started doing it for a few clients, and then I was getting phone calls from people like, "Hey, I heard you're preparing food, and I would like to order." So and then a light bulb went off in Dean and I's head, like this could actually be a business, like a real business. And we were doing it out of our house, and until we couldn't do it anymore out of our house. I mean, we were just maxed out. So then we started renting kitchens, and I was renting kitchens out of synagogues of all places, but out of church, basically out of a church, and so we ran it like that for a long time until we were maxed out of there. And then we moved into the facility that we were in now. But really, it was just, I mean, sheer determination and willpower. One thing I can say that has helped is that I'm definitely the visionary, and Dean would get pissed off if he heard me say that because he thinks he's the visionary, but I'm more the visionary and he's the integrator, right? So you have to, in business, you have to have both of these seats filled. Otherwise, because I'm not a detail oriented person. I'm the we call, and we even say big picture Barb and detail Dean, because I'm big picture. I'm like, we're gonna do this and it's gonna be like this, it's this and this and this, but it's so pretty, and we're gonna plate all this, and he's like, okay, but wait, like how are we actually gonna do this? So I think having those two people in business is crucial. Having both of those seats filled is very important. But also too is that you cannot overthink it, and you can't have it all planned out to the T, because guess what? Whatever you think your plan, it's like childbirth. Whatever you think your plan was, you're cute. It's not gonna go like that. Okay. It's gonna go totally different. And you just have to roll with the punches. And trust me, and I still to this day, like if y'all knew the freaking problems and the stuff that happens behind the scenes of this, like you would cringe, because just dealing with employees and hiring and firing and all the things that take place, and then during like going through post COVID times, it is just it's a lot. It's a whirlwind, and it's a lot of times, at many times, it's you don't see a lot of return on it. And so you have to have that passion. And that's another big piece of advice I can give anybody who's thinking about being in business or starting a business. Like, you better make sure that this is your life's mission. Otherwise, there is not going to be anything that's going to keep you going. You're going to want to quit every single turn. And there's still many times that I'm like, do I want to keep on going through this and doing this? And again, it just always comes back to, like, I think about, like, well, what would my clients do? Like, what would my clients do to find healthy food? Like, I have this lady that comes in, her husband died a few years ago, and he was the cook in the family. And she said he would cook everything for me. So now I don't know how to cook, and this is a woman who's in her 60s, almost 70s. So I think about her, and it just drives me to keep going. But now we're in an 8,000 square foot facility. We have a whole entire our whole but most of our warehouse is dedicated to refrigeration, where we do all of our plating. We turn the front of our commissary into retail. So we have grab and go where we do smoothies, and we have the grab and go meals. And then a year ago, we decided to open up our second location, retail location in Baton Rouge. So we have two retails currently, and then we deliver. I'm hoping through my social media, I can really help people more that way, because I know that not everybody is going to order food from me. I totally get that. And so for people who are cooking at home, I want to give them the confidence and that self-esteem boost that, like, you can cook and prepare food in your own home that is so easy and so delicious, and feed your family the most nourishing meal that only takes 30 minutes to cook. I'm hoping that I can really show people how to really feed their family a good healthy meal that's not so complicated and has 1,000 ingredients, like stuff moms can cook. Because I will tell you, I still cook at home and I like to cook at home, but I am cooking with one hand because my 1-year old will not get off of my hip or my boob literally long enough for me to do anything. So I hold her on my hip, and then I'm cooking with the other hand. So if I can cook a meal with a toddler on my hip, I can teach pretty much anybody how to cook and whip up a good dinner. So, but I'll yeah.
Video of your daughter. She did this cute little reel with you and was like, listen, if your kids don't want broccoli, like, they don't have to eat broccoli. She was
And
just,
she
yeah,
had the hands like going like, if they don't want broccoli, I'm like,
it was the cutest
meanwhile I'm trying to
thing.
hot mess hot.
And you're trying to like show how to cook a healthy meal. And she's like,
Yeah.
maybe not, you know?
Mhm. She's like, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it was
That's
really adorable. It
hilarious.
was
How old is
adorable.
she?
She's 4.
Yeah. And it's like,
She's more like 24.
mhm. She's got a
Mhm.
personality for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, like, so
Yeah.
speaking of motherhood, I mean, I'm pivoting a little bit, but you had a rough second pregnancy that put you on bed rest
Mhm.
for an extended period of time. And I followed this journey because you shared so much on social, which was very interesting to me. Can you tell people like what happened, how long you were in the hospital? How the heck did you do that? Like as a mom and then with a business?
There are no words to describe that entire chapter of my life.
Hmm.
So I got diagnosed when I was 20 weeks pregnant. I got diagnosed with vasa previa, which means you have fetal blood vessels that run along your cervix. You are high risk. Like, you cannot go into labor because your baby essentially is going to bleed out. Okay. And it's not like it's going to take time. It's like within 5 minutes, you better be in the hospital being delivered. Otherwise it's fatal.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I've never heard of
so
this.
yes, and it's not a very common thing. So I had placenta previa and I had vasa previa with Isla. And I really did not look it up or Google it or do any of that. I just was like, I was afraid to do that, because you get on Google and then all of a sudden it's like you read every horror story that there is, right? So I just kind of took a deep breath. I'm like, all right, we're going to get through this pregnancy. Everything's going to be fine. And I had a little bit of bleeding at 29 weeks. I had a little bit of bleeding, which I think was probably it had to have been just from having the placenta previa. So when I had that bleeding, they admitted me and they were like, listen, you're going to have to stay here until you deliver. So I stayed in the hospital for 6 weeks straight. I lived there on antepartum. Yeah. And yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to face, but I had such an incredible support team, and my husband brought Elle to the hospital every single day so that she could be with me, and I'll never forget it. I mean, it was quite life changing. It really was. And then when I had my C-section, I had massive internal bleeding. So I almost died in delivery, which I didn't really post anything about that, but I really, when I look back on it, I'm like, this could have been a Netflix documentary, I swear, because it had the most climactic ending ever because she sewed me up and then I was basically passing out, because I was losing so much blood and my blood panel was coming back perfectly normal. So the doctors couldn't figure out what was happening, but I was having, major internal bleeding. So I had to have a CT scan and I had to have, 5 blood transfusions and to kind of bring me back. Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I'm like, how did I go through this entire 6 weeks and then this is like the ending point of this? So, and really I had journaled that entire time and I had been documenting the whole thing, as Angelina said. And I really thought to myself, I'm like, this was God's way of letting me communicate with my daughters for the last time. Like I really thought that thought crossed my mind because I'm like, this is it. This is the end. And I had been journaling and I'm like, it's so hard for me to even say it without crying, but I had been journaling and I thought like this is their way for me to, talk to them, for that last time. So I'm sorry. It's just
No,
such
you're
an
gonna make
emotional
me
thing.
cry. I
I
had no
know.
idea that like I'm like
Wow.
tearing up
Yeah.
with you saying this story. And I was just
Hmm.
amazed at your spirit the whole time. Like you got up and made your bed and you were like trying to like live as normal as possible, like with your daughter having to come
Yeah.
see you in the hospital. And I know you were like practicing gratitude and all of that. Like that was the part that I was like, it was amazing to me. And then like behind all that, like you still have to be a mom and a wife and have a business and then you go through that and you almost die, which I had no idea.
Yeah. So listen, the one thing I could tell anybody that's going through anything in their life, very early on when I was in the hospital, my life coach sent me this. It was a podcast or something like that, or a clip of a podcast of a Navy SEAL talking about going through Hell Week. And one thing that he talked about in that was that Hell Week, I mean, majority of people don't make it through. But one of his instructors had told him in the beginning, he's like, if you take it one meal at a time, day by day, you are going to get through this. So he said, I would just chunk it in my brain, like, okay, I know I got to go through this like wretched experience, and then I'm going to be able to eat breakfast. And then I'm going to go through another like 4 hours of, you know, trauma. And then I'm going to be able to eat lunch. And then, so I just took it one day at a time, one meal at a time, a lot of times. And having the routine of getting up and making my bed and doing these things. And at night, I would Swiffer my entire room. It like gave me this sense of normalcy and also structure so that I wasn't just laying in the hospital bed all day. Like I would never lay in the hospital bed. I would just get up, I would get dressed, I would do my hair, I would do my makeup, I would walk down the hall, I would get water, I would come back, I would open my like I would had these steps that I would follow. And I did that day after day and I would take it a lot of times I would take it because otherwise like thinking about like the big picture and you will spiral. So I had to just be like, okay, I'm gonna eat my breakfast and then like I made it to breakfast. Like that's a win, made it there. And then also when you're carrying a baby, obviously everything you're doing is for your child, so that is another aspect of it. Like people are like, I don't know how you did that. I'm like, I didn't, what other choice would you have when you're carrying your baby? You're doing it for your baby.